Hey, church family. It's Pastor Bruce, the lead pastor of Antrim BIC Church, and coming to you from my home office today. I've been away for the last 2 days up at Messiah College for a BIC orientation. And I want to come to you with a recap, but obviously, I think we're going to just take a moment and talk about some current events. As many of you have heard, Charlie Kirk was assassinated yesterday on a college campus. And I know many of you are affected by this. Many of you watched him, enjoyed hearing the way that he would lovingly debate and engage in conversation in the open square with those that were at many times very ugly with their language and very just angry, and he dealt with it with such grace, and he continued to engage it. And if you know anything about Charlie, you know that he was a passionate believer in Jesus Christ. I mean, he has got video after video after video of testimonies of Jesus and talking about the importance of his relationship with God and how he would pray every time he went on a campus, how he would pray that God would use him in whatever way God wanted to use him. And so it was heartbreaking to see that news yesterday, to see first that he was shot and then that he died later. Was Man, it hit Jackie and I really hard. We both have watched his videos, shared his videos with each other many times. Talked about his love for God and how awesome it was to have somebody so intelligent and so engaging, to be on these college campuses and engaging in this kind of conversation. And many of you also, I'm sure, have heard of Iriana, the Ukrainian girl who was killed on a train. And it just seems like evil's winning some days. And I don't know about you, but it seems so frustrating to see evil win, as though it seems. And yet we know God wins. We know that God is victorious. We know that nothing's out of control. That certainly, yesterday, God was not dethroned or surprised or shocked or thrown for a loop because of what occurred. He is aware. His heart breaks for these things more than our heart will ever break for them. And He is here. God is active. He is moving. And so I would encourage you, first and foremost, pray. Pray for Charlie's family. I mean, as a dad, I see this, and I see two little girls who will grow up without their dad now, because someone decided to rob them of that. A wife who will no longer have her husband because she was robbed of that. And it's disgusting. It's horrible. And it is pure evil. And we should not be silent about that. We should also not go the other extreme and buy into every conspiracy theory immediately and begin to go down every rabbit hole and smear Charlie's legacy or name by running after every new theory, every new rumor that comes about. But pray for his family, pray for uh, all of those affected by it. I mean, it wasn't just his family. He had teams of people. He had friends. Charlie had such a huge circle of people around him that loved him, that cared for him, and that are deeply affected by this. So please pray. Pray for all of those who will continue to engage in this type of conversation and debate. I've heard multiple videos from other people that I follow that do similar type ministry, and they've only doubled down on their commitment to continue to engage in conversation, not to be dissuaded from this, and pray for them, pray for their safety, pray that that evil would not win, even from a temporary perspective, that God's love will reign. Pray for the hearts of those who have such evil in their hearts, that God would reach them even where they are. Prayer, uh, as you know, we've seen even lately, some of the politicians and whatnot saying how prayer is just not enough, and it just shows you how little they know. Prayer is huge, and prayer is how we engage this. I think we also engage it with our voice, to not be silent, to speak up, to speak out against this kind of evil. I think it's an imperative to love Jesus, to love others, is to be vocal in these moments, to not to swear and curse and claim evil over others, or how we're going to attack the other side, or none of that garbage. But we use our voice to declare Jesus in different ways, and we love God. We love others by loving God first. So we can't say that we love others by not living like Christ would. How would Christ respond in a moment like this? What would He encourage us to do? What would He want us? What would He want to see the church do in moments like this? I think prayer, we start with prayer, but we don't end with prayer. Certainly, that's not the totality of what God is calling us into for many of us. I would encourage us to continue to engage deeply in conversation and in different ways to see this message that. One of the biggest things that Charlie would frequently have conversation about and against is abortion, and that evil hates to see that go away, and so we have to champion these causes and be vocal about them. And so, not to overlook also what today is, September 11th, another day where many people were affected. Certainly, a lot more people died that day, and terrorism seemed to have won for a day. And then what came out of that? So much violence and hatred and evil came out of even just that one act, or multiple acts, but in one day. Um, Man, evil must be exposed for what it is. We are the light of the world, church. And we are called to take that light to dark places, not to simply congregate as a bunch of lights in one place, but we're called to take that out to the dark places. Certainly, Charlie did that. I mean, many of the college campuses that Charlie went to were dark places where free speech was being oppressed, and it was not easy to do what he did in many of the places that he went, and yet he took the light of Christ and the love of Christ into those dark places. And I would call us to do the same in whatever ways that God has called us to do that, in whatever avenues God brings us into, that we would take the light of the gospel, not the light of our political party or the light of our personal preferences, but the light of the gospel into these dark places, expose the evil for what it is, and allow God to do what he's going to do. Like Acts 1:8, you've heard me say it many times, you will be filled with the spirit of power. And why? To go tell the nations of Jesus. And so let's do that, church. Um, think and pray. Also, we talked about Charlie and all those affected, but all those that are continuing to be affected by what happened on September 11th, 24 years ago. I remember that day, and many of you do remember that day. Some of you don't and weren't alive yet, but um, it was a very heavy day. I would argue today is a very heavy day. It certainly has been for me as I've processed what happened yesterday. But lots of prayer is certainly needed. Lots of light is certainly needed in this time. There was no way for me to recap a sermon titled "Love Together" if we're going to ignore what's going on around us. If we're going to ignore extravagant acts of evil in the public square and in public places. We must engage these things, and we must not be silent in the midst of it. I think to be silent is to be complicit in some of these things. And so we must use our voices and we must be active. I don't think that means we run off and act like foolish people. We don't run off and act like the enemy to engage the enemy. We take the love of Jesus into these places in different and creative ways, like Charlie did. So that's my encouragement in the midst of all of that. I have so much more to say, but I don't want to rabbit trail too much into all of that. But we did talk about loving together and how to love together. The realities of what love is love is the foundation of our faith. That love reveals where we abide. That love acts; it doesn't just talk, and that love keeps the great commandment. Certainly, from what we're even discussing today with current events, love must be the foundation. I love listening to Charlie talk about his love for Jesus and how everything he did was because he loved God and he loved lost people. And he would engage them in intellectual debate. And he was phenomenal at it. But it was birthed from and came from a foundation of love for those that disagreed with him. And what an amazing heart that he had to love those who disagreed with him enough to engage them in conversation. And what a cool thing. And God is calling us to have that foundation of love, that everything that we build our lives and our ministries on should be love. And I encourage us toward that. Love reveals where we abide. Certainly, the person who decided to rob the world of Charlie Kirk, that's not abiding in love. That's abiding in death. And some of us aren't going to that extreme, but some of our lives, some of the stuff that comes out, bitterness and anger and wrath from our hearts, shows that we don't abide in Christ either. It might not be quite as dark, at least in application or what our life looks like, but we must abide in Christ. And from that, we will be fruit of the Spirit. That's the only way to get the fruit of the Spirit, is to abide in Christ. So love reveals. Love also acts. It doesn't just talk. You'll see a lot of talking heads right now on social media about what happened with Charlie, and we can't be silent, but they're not going to do anything other than talk. They won't act. They won't take the love of Christ to these dark places, and that's what we're called to do. Church is to find places where there isn't the gospel and take the gospel there. Like we talked about on Sunday, rivers of living water flow from believers. We don't have to put a whole lot of effort into that. It just happens because we're connected to the vine and we're connected to Jesus. And through our relationship with Jesus, rivers of living water flow. And so that is a reality for all of us as believers. And we should go to these places that are dry, that have no love of Christ, and allow that living water to flow for others to drink from. And love keeps the great commandment. We'll talk about this a little bit more this week, but we are called to love God and love others. That is the commandment, the great commandment. I love that when Jesus was asked for the one great commandment, he couldn't give just one. He said, "This is the great commandment. And another one is just like it: to love God, love others." If we're gonna love God, we must love others. Loving God will always lead to loving others. And if we love them, then we will pursue them with the gospel. We will speak life and truth to them in a loving way, and seek to win them for the kingdom. So I encourage you, as you process things, as I don't know about you, but for me, it's a very heavy day, to process what all that has happened, and to be confronted with so much evil. Um, if anything, use it to encourage you to take love, take light, take truth to dark places. Because as we see in the media right now, it is desperately needed. It doesn't need more warriors going out with guns ablazing. It needs more people filled with the Spirit of the living God, engaging this evil and this darkness for the kingdom is what it needs. And so I don't know about you, but I plan and hope to be one of those who takes God's love, who takes God's light, who takes the rivers of living water to places that are absolutely destitute and empty of the presence of God. Not to just sit in my comfy circles and in my comfortable places with all a bunch of other believers and just be satisfied with that. So that's my encouragement for us. If you are far from God, if you don't know Jesus, if you just want to know more about God, we'd love to have you join us. If you're not already a regular attender at Antrim Brethren in Christ Church, we have our services at 8 o'clock and 10:45 on Sundays. 8 a.m. is our more traditional service, 10:45 our more contemporary service, and right in the middle of there at 9:30 we have our Sunday school hour with a bunch of different Sunday school classes with all kinds of different things going on. If you need help getting plugged in, we'd love to help you. But we'd love to see you join us. You are always welcome. And I can promise you the love of Christ will be richly displayed in our gathering together. And we are a people that are sent. And we're going to continue to engage our community and our Jerusalem, our Judea, our Samaria, and the ends of the earth with the gospel and the light of Jesus. So we'd love it if you'd join us in that pursuit. God bless you all. Hope to see you Sunday, and have a great rest of your week.